Hello, welcome to Palmetto Happenings in Kobe, a show all about economic development, workforce development, commercial real estate, and tourism within the great state of South Carolina. I'm your host, Kobe Williams. Today, I'm here with Miss Paige Kiniry, CEO and President of Brookgreen Gardens. How are you doing today, Paige?
I'm doing great. It's so great to see you at Brookgreen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Beautiful, a beautiful place. And we're in the Dick and Brenda Rosen Gallery, correct?
We are, yes.
Fantastic.
This includes several separate galleries. Most of the Rosen galleries has an Art Deco design exhibit.
Yeah.
But this part of the gallery is all about Anna Huntington, her artwork, and this, of course, is her portrait.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a great way to get a little background on the founding of Brookgreen and our founders.
Yeah. It's a beautiful building right here. I mean, this whole area right here and this painting right here, it's awesome. And I always appreciate what everything Brookgreen Garden does for our community. Yeah. So tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got to Brookgreen Gardens, a little bit of background. Tell us about you.
Well, I've been here for 7 years, and I came for the job. So I had been the director of a smaller organization that was focused on science education, but also had a sculpture collection, native plant garden. So there were some similarities.
Yeah.
We were actually doing a 50th anniversary celebration, and we were on a piece of property that was donated by the Huntingtons.
Yeah.
In Newport News. So that I was looking for a sculpture that Anna Huntington had written a letter asking if we would like to have these sculptures for the institution. And of course, this was a letter from the 1960s, and she was frequently going to that region for visits to the Mariners Museum.
Yeah.
Archer Huntington used to say everywhere he put his foot down, a museum would spring up. So not having children, they were incredibly generous, not just about Brookgreen Gardens, but the Mariners Museum, the Hispanic Society in New York City, other organizations and funds. So the long story short is that I had called Brookgreen Gardens. I developed a relationship with Bob Jewell, who was here.
Yeah.
And when he got ready to retire, he said, I think this would be a great place for you.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I had known about it, and it really wasn't until then that I really had an opportunity to visit and learn more. But my background is in higher education, development, fundraising, lobbying. The institution that I came from was a museum. I had come from an art museum before that, and my education is in museum studies and art history.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So perfect fit for here.
Yes, perfect.
Well, can you give our viewers, I think a lot of our viewers understand what Brookgreen Gardens is, but tell us a little background on Brookgreen Gardens.
Sure. So Brookgreen Gardens is a National Historic Landmark. It was founded in 1931 by the Huntingtons. It is a private nonprofit organization. There are 9,731 acres. So we are a large institution, but most of that property is held as a wildlife refuge. The gardens themselves are about 250 acres of historic sites, museum buildings, and of course our botanical garden and wildlife and native animal zoo.
Yeah.
So we like to say a little something for everyone here, but it really was the vision of the Huntingtons from the beginning. Is they fell in love with this area, coming from New York and Connecticut at the time.
Yeah.
Anna Huntington had TB, so she was looking for somewhere to get in a warmer climate, an opportunity to get out and enjoy nature. And they bought the property in 1930 and knew immediately that it needed to be in the public trust. So they formed Brookgreen Gardens, the organization, and in 1931 and opened it to the public in 1932. So it has been serving their purpose, both as a wildlife sanctuary, a native animal zoo, and a display, America's first sculpture garden since that time. And then over time, the Board of Trustees realized there's so much history here. We really needed to interpret the broader history of the former rice plantations, the Waccamaw Indian influence here. And what's one of the things that we have a great partnership with Coastal Carolina University on is through our archaeology interpretation and through the African diaspora studies.
Yeah. Do you ever work with the Athenaeum Press by any chance over at Coastal
Oh, of
Carolina?
course, yes.
Yeah.
We
They're great. They're great.
They are incredible. We've had several projects with them. Of
Mhm.
course, Brookgreen owns parts of Sandy Island,
Mhm.
so that book.
Oh yeah, the science department. Yeah, I'm sure.
And
Oh, the book too.
the faculty there have been integral in several of our programs and exhibits.
Yeah.
Worked closely with Ron Days, who was the former creative education vice president here. So lots of connections there.
Yeah, listen, I love what they do over at the Athenaeum Press, and
Yeah,
we were talking about chicken bog earlier. They do a great job on telling the history of chicken bog, which does actually play a little bit of part in this part of the region, you know,
of course,
because the plantations, the farms that they had down here, it's an easy dish to make, and so farmers used to make that a lot down here when they're farming. So I digress. I always like to put chicken bog a little bit into the show a little bit.
Chicken bog at Harvest Restaurant. So we have a wonderful restaurant that serves a lot of
I didn't know that.
Local specialties, so shrimp and grits, occasionally a chicken bog.
Interesting.
So
I didn't know that.
Make that a stop. It's run by Austin.
What are some notable successes of Brookgreen Gardens, or something that you'd like for our viewers to know about?
Well, of course, the biggest news we have right now is Monday. We are breaking ground on our new Welcome Center and Conservatory. It's going to be called the Purdy Center. It's named for honorary trustees and donors to the project that live in Charlotte and here in Litchfield.
Yeah.
Incredibly generous folks and many other donors who have made it possible. It is a project that will be the start of all of our visits. It will be the focus of our tourism.
Cool.
So it's a very important part of our public face. We have about 400,000 visitors a year here. And you know, Nights of a Thousand Candles alone has about 90,000 visitors from around the country.
Wow.
So we are very focused on both serving our residents and our members, but we have members from all over the state who frequent this area to come on vacation. So we also serve tourists and you know, create another reason for people to come regularly back to this market.
Absolutely. And listen, when you talk about for all of the state, I mean, I'm on the north end of the county, and I like to come down here and do a nice little walk around every now and then to clear my head a little bit. So nice little relaxing.
Right. Well, we noticed, especially at COVID, since we never closed. And it was one of the few places early on in COVID that was open. People felt more safe being outside. Having an opportunity to be outdoors felt better than being inside, even when you could go back to some of those places. So we have people who come here every day and walk. That peaceful wellness that you have in nature and the inspiration of art is also something to make you think.
100%, 100%. Sorry, I have to. I'm good at editing my videos. Sorry, I just have to. So. I have to always keep my composure. What are some of the strengths of the location of Brookgreen Gardens that make this an attractive place to visit and to have base of operations?
Well, we have tourists both from Charleston area and from Myrtle Beach. So for us, being located with accessibility to both of those major tourist markets is a real boon for us. Of course, that means the transportation's got to be accessible. Traffic's got to be, you know, able to move in order for those tourists to get to us here. We are unique in the public garden world. Most of the gardens that you think about, New York Public Gardens, Chicago Public Gardens, Denver, other major institutions are in large cities. So being in a rural area makes us a destination. But because we're so unique in the marketplace, I think there's nowhere like Brookgreen, you know, in the region, in the state. So it is an attraction for people to come and also plan a day. So our tickets are good for 7 days. So knowing that you can go to the beach one day, come back to Brookgreen.
Go to Huntington Beach.
If it's raining, you can
stuff,
come and enjoy the galleries and come to the restaurants. So it really creates a wonderful option for folks.
Oh yeah. What are some challenges and opportunities that Brookgreen Garden faces that if the challenges did not exist or the opportunities were fully embraced, would fully unleash the full potential of Brookgreen?
One of the great things about serving the local market and the growth in the local market is we have the capacity. You know, with Nights of 1,000 Candles, we can accommodate easily 6,000 people a day.
Yeah.
So
I believe that.
so on a regular
the
day,
road may not, but yeah.
Well, and that is what I would say is the only issue. You know, the fact that all the traffic going to Charleston goes past us is a positive, but also a negative, because it's difficult for people to make that transit when there's a lot of traffic there, and you're in a residential area of lots of traffic lights. So
it's kind of by design, though. You
yes.
know?
So having the option to have, for example, we've seen a lot of people coming from North Myrtle Beach since 31 was completed, because it makes it so much easier to get around the traffic to come down, and it's 30 minutes.
The interchange, I love it. I love it.
That's perfect. So those kinds of opportunities to improve the traffic flow, especially for pass-through traffic that's going, you know, from the major destinations, that would be a big help for us. Public transportation, of course, is always an issue. We have a lot of people who, you know, need Ubers, they need taxis, they're staying in hotels. You know, having that kind of transportation available for tourists to come to major attractions would also be a terrific benefit.
100%. Listen, I always like to point that out, because that's something that we see a lot. You know, transportation is something that needs, you know, emphasizing here in this part of the state. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. You know, there's an issue and it can be improved. So lobbyists and legislators, keep that in mind.
We've made good progress. We're very grateful for that.
Oh yeah,
always
exactly.
more to do.
What are some opportunities? And I know you might have already touched on this a little bit, but what are some opportunities in the region that you see could really support the activities here at Brookgreen Gardens?
Well, we have a lot of wonderful partners. Of course, in the tourism marketplace, it's hotels and restaurants in the area, and we feed off of each other. So, you know, our ability to have consignment tickets, to be able to promote our events through those partners, that's really essential to continue to reach the larger markets. We work with our attraction partners as well, you know, cross promoting activities here, particularly with things around the holidays. You know, we've got Nights of 1,000 Candles. It's got a great brand. We can extend that to you know, benefit the whole region in partnership with other locations that are doing those holiday events. So that one has worked incredibly well. We have a summer light, which is a summertime light event that includes music and a way to enjoy the garden in the evening.
It's very relaxing.
I think it's a way. I think it's something that's going to continue to grow too. There are other opportunities for some evening events, but there's always a need for things that are family friendly. I think one of the things about being a botanical garden is that everybody feels very safe. It's a wonderful family friendly destination.
So part of my show is all about sustainability and just really embracing what we have here in the Palmetto State. What is Brookgreen Gardens doing to promote sustainability and just from a holistic perspective or from an environmental perspective?
Sure. Well, as a conservation organization, a lot of what we're doing is preserving and maintaining longleaf pine habitat. So we do burns, we do other kinds of forest management techniques with our national and regional partners. Of course, working with the park, Huntington Park, which is property that Brookgreen owns and leases back for public access. So we maintain those habitats and we'll keep that land in conservation easement in perpetuity. So that's a really important thing when it comes to where is all the water going for development. Where can we access clean water? So right now for Georgetown County, you know, the water access comes through Brookgreen Gardens. So it's important both for continued growth management and also in preserving, you know, those environments that support endangered species like red cockaded woodpecker. We've also been doing some research on native plants. It's one of the strengths of our plant collection. And one of those is sea beach amaranth. It's a plant that grows and helps maintain shoreline. And it's something that we've been working with the park where we'll grow it here. We work with volunteers to plant it and it helps maintain that coastline. And it's something that we can continue to grow and expand and offer to other homeowners and businesses that maintain those waterfront
Yeah.
dunes.
Mm-hmm.
And using the native plants, of course, they're just built
Yeah.
to survive better here, and they provide habitat for native species of birds, insects, and others.
It's knocking out everything in one fell swoop. I mean, it's awesome.
And we have a lot of our conservation partners, and
Mm-hmm.
I know people that you probably work closely with.
Mm-hmm.
We have something called Brookgreen 101,
Okay.
where there are public lectures. They're free to all of our members, and they're included in admission.
Yeah.
And you can come and hear Nature Conservancy talks, Audubon Society, Botanical Gardens, and really hear about some of those things that our partners are doing and things that we're working on together for the benefit of the environment. And then internally, we have a green committee. So we work closely on trying to reduce plastics, especially. We have bottle fill stations, and we encourage people to bring their own water bottle. We don't, with our new building, I would love to say that it is a LEED certified building, but for the particular kind of building we're building as a conservatory, it's not possible because of the light needs that we have. But we are growing endangered species there. So our orchid, for example, and other orchids that are comparable, and having that space available for students to learn. We see thousands of students here from all over the state. And homeschool students. So it is an opportunity to learn about plant and animal adaptations that is unique to our state.
That's awesome. Side note. So coastal South Carolina, it's a popular place to live, and people want to move here, and people want to live here, and also maintain the beauty of it, though. And part of that, that's a very kind of loaded issue. What is Brookgreen Gardens? Well, part of my initiative is to obviously embrace this growth, but also keep what we have here, make it keep the beauty and everything, but also maintain the history of where we've been, where we're at, where we're going in the future. What is Brookgreen Gardens doing to embrace the idea of honoring the past while looking to the future?
Well, of course, as a historic site, we do a lot of interpretation from Native Americans through rice culture to the founding in the 1930s and the restoration era when the Brookgreen was created. And there's lots of information too since then about how our property has evolved and the kinds of projects we've been able to present for our local residents to enjoy in all of those mission areas. So that's a really important part of who we are as an institution. But as far as serving that growing population, that's something that we think about a lot. We have lots of corporate partners. We know from our economic development partners that we are one of the reasons that people come to locate here. We know it from retirees because we have over 5,000 volunteers. I'm sorry, 500 volunteers.
Still, hey, listen, I believe that. You could have gone 5,000, I would have not have batted an eye.
It was wishful thinking. But those 500 volunteers, the hours that they put in, the majority of them are retired. So they're doing the work of about 18 full-time employees.
Wow.
And they work in every area. So we have, retired NASA scientists, and we have engineers, and
so you got the expertise,
electricians, amazing expertise. So I think one of the things, the opportunities that we have are people who are coming from all over. They can come to this one location and learn about all of that history, as well as the environment. One of the things we know when people are moving here from the north is they don't know what grows here. So they learn a lot about what plants are going to do well in their garden, which is important because it's supporting all of that infrastructure of native birds.
And listen, I love that when you point out the people that come down here, they're asking questions about what grows here, but also part of that also leads in the question of why does it grow here and how is it used economically, and then they start delving into the history of this region, and you keep that perspective of where we've been, kind of where we're going in the future.
We have rice demonstrations because they are such an essential part of the development of South Carolina, our history, agrarian past. The Floyd family farm has domestic animals where you can learn how those were used to continue to grow the farming in this region. And those heritage breeds have an important part of our past as well. So it's wonderful to be able to see how all of those things integrate at one institution. It's one of the things that I loved about coming down here, because it told such an incredible story about South Carolina. And about this region.
I'm going to just put this out there. I always do that on a lot of my shows. Timber, turpentine, tobacco, and tourism. Those are the 4 T's of Horry County. Catherine Lewis, I don't know if you read that book yet, but it's about Horry County. Literally, that's what I see here. Timber, turpentine, tobacco, and tourism all coming together.
If you've been to our history exhibit, there's a turpentine display, there's rice display, there's it's a window into that historic past.
What's in store for the future for Brookgreen Gardens?
Well, this is a really exciting time in the growth of our organization. So we're in the Rosen Galleries. Just having this gallery has enabled this exhibit, which has both decorative art, clothing, things that two-dimensional art that would not have been appropriate in the environment that we had in our previous gallery. So the environmental conditions have to be right in order to borrow from other institutions. It also has the space for storage, for access, for support for exhibits like Rodin that we could bring, so people who may never have seen a Rodin sculpture can come to Brookgreen Gardens. We know that one of the things that the average visitor doesn't make the connection with how a bronze sculpture is created, monuments that they might see in their own town, and the process that those are created that last forever. So we're having a demonstration foundry, so you're going to be able to watch that whole process of creating bronze sculpture with public display. We have faculty on staff now that are doing demonstrations of how sculpture is created. And then we're broadening our classroom experience in a variety of art. Sculpture, of course, but regular classes for locals, kids, teens, and a wine and sculpt for fun. So those are happening because we have the Simpson Art Center, which is the new, it's under construction now. It will be open later this summer. So we're getting very close.
Check that out, y'all.
And that is a very exciting new offering for us. It includes our first conservation lab. So all of the sculpture needs to be conserved so that will last forever for future generations. So we have a conservator. A lot of that work has been happening off-site or happening in a parking lot. So because these are large-scale pieces, and also we needed a safe conservation lab to be able to do that work. So that will be included in this space as well. So we're really excited about that. So that coming online is going to create lots of new opportunities to engage people in programming.
I love it.
And then the Welcome Center Conservatory we talked about, that is our growth for year-round attraction. So those shoulder seasons that we're seeing more and more with tourists coming in the fall. And a lot of things that are so weather dependent. It's more to do undercover. Wait that storm out while you're enjoying the indoor gardens in the conservatory and learning a little bit about tropical plants and those plant adaptations we were talking about with the educational programming. So that is going to be a real centerpiece for our horticultural program and allow us to expand in new directions there. And that's important for us as an institution that has been around since the 1930s. You have to continue to grow.
100%. And embracing the past, which is what you guys are doing. That's why I like you guys, So thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all for watching this episode of Palmetto Happens in Kobe. Follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram, and subscribe on to our YouTube page. And thank you so much.
Join us at Brookgreen Gardens.
Absolutely. Yeah.